sur Internet, donc ils ont des audiences énormes et dans moins de 3 minutes, nous sommes en direct. En direct.
Welcome to Leger, second stop of your Crankworx World Tour.
The beast is back, raw and fast, dry or wet. The course on Moncherie delivers the goods. In 2016, Morgan Charr proved best over the track's combination of speed and technicality. On the men's side, France's Remy Thierrien added his name to the list of legends who have won here in Leger. Today, it's anyone's game on the course that never quits. It's the Crankworx Leger Downhill presented by iXS, and it all starts right now.
This is what it's all about. The place to be. Stop number 2 on your Crankworx World Tour in Leger. Here we go.
Several dimensions are shaping victories.
1080. Stomping it.
Oh, perfect execution.
The best mountain bike riders on earth.
Check the time here. Can he keep it up?
He enters the final straightaway first. He does. Oh, just barely too short.
One queen and one king will claim the title of best all-around mountain biker on the planet.
And a very big hello to everyone who's joining us here online for our broadcast. Here we are, Leger, France, Crankworx stop number 2, and it's all about your downhill presented by iXS. I'm joined by none other than a man who knows a little something about mountain biking. We call him Andrew Needling, AKA Needles. Needles, you've had a chance to get out here and ride this course since you've been here. What's your thoughts, man?
It is what all the riders have been asking for. We came back here way in 2004 for a World Cup. We're back here with a natural, kind of old school track, but that's the school they want.
Okay, so if you've never been to Leger, France, let's show you where Leger, France is located. See, there's the big world. Needles, you see it?
Yeah, they're zooming in on us.
There we are. And right there, nestled in beautiful France here, right by the French Alps, Leger. Why is it so awesome here?
It's just one of the biggest mountain bike playgrounds in the world. There's multiple lift access. Like we said, you can go all over, all the way to Switzerland if you want, have a lunch there. You don't have to ride the same track twice. So it's great for friends, family, kids, and even very experienced mountain bikers. Okay, now we talk about this being stop number 2, Andrew, but stop number 1 took place in Rotorua for downhill. Let's show you kind of how things broke down out there and show you who ends up on the podium. First off, for the ladies, what do you say about her? Well, Tracy Hanna, she was runner-up the year before. The first stop at Crankworx 2017. Her off-season preparation has been great. She's gearing up for World Champs later in the year, and she was just on fire, riding the steep section, very, very consistent, and pushing all the way to finish. She managed to take home that gold medal. I tell you what, and just always amazed to watch her ride, but Shark Attack Jack, that man was on point as well, wasn't he? Yeah, Jack Muir, our series winner the year before. Again, very good off-season from Australia, a lot of time on the bike, and it paid off in this final. So when the dust settled, Shark Attack Jack Moyer, he took the win for the men, and for the women, it was all about Tracy Hanna. She took the win for the women. All right, Andrew, let's get into particulars, because every day in the afternoon I see you come back from riding with a huge smile on your face after riding this very course. What's this course like, and what do you got to do to end up on the podium? This course is what we all want on a downhill track. Became world famous back in 2004. They hosted the World Championship. Very similar start. It's wide, it's open in the grass turns. All the riders are raving about this start. There's no time to warm up. It's fast out the gate. It's obviously not very man-made, so there's a lot of off-camber. You've got to keep high lines. You really got to be smart. You can't come too hot into a turn because you're going to mess 3 more turns after that. As you see, this rider's hopping around. He's trying to open up the turns, wide lines. You can still push though, because there's some runoff here because it's taped wide. So it depends how aggressive you want to be at the top. Then it drops into the woods, different to that 2004 track. Very tricky last year in the mud, but now there's some hard ruts that really help you navigate the steep and treacherous wood sections here in Leger. Starts getting a bit quicker, but before you get out the woods, you join the famous bobsled section. That's 3 big berms, world famous from that World Champs. You're not done though if you navigate those woods, because you've got some extremely fast grass turns, and that is where Steve Peat famously or infamously threw away that World Champs jersey in 2004. And there you have it. It's fast to the finish, and that's your course in Leger. Okay, so that's a look at the course, but let's talk about the women we're going to see racing out here, and you've got to talk about that one right there on the top. Morgan Schär, she was the winner in absolutely crazy conditions last year, Needles. The conditions were terrible. It played into her favor though. She's a flat pedal rider, which is extremely unique for a ladies competitor. It was very tough to hold your line and kind of navigate all those ruts. She did just that. She'll be a force to reckon with today, even in the dry. Emily Siegenthaler, runner-up here last year in the terrible conditions, but she's equally suited when it gets dry and rough. She comes off podiums in her home country of Lenzerheide last year. She's in good form coming into the season. Let's not forget Tracy Hanna, probably in the form of her life, coming off a win in Fort William, a win in Rotorua, our first stop. My money, if someone forced me to put it down, I would have to put on Tracy Hanna with her current form. So those are the women that you need to watch out for. But right now, we want to check in with Hanna, who's down there with the junior men's world champ with a first-hand course report. Hanna?
Yes, thank you very much, Brad. Yes, I'm here with world-renowned junior rider Finn Isles. He's currently sitting in the hot seat right now. And Finn, there's been so much buzz around this course. Everyone is raving about it. Give us a little bit of intel on the course from your run here today.
Yeah, the track is really good. It's getting looser as the day goes on, and I think it's just like the dirt is just becoming sand, and everyone's losing grip. So I think it's a little bit harder than it was yesterday and even this morning. So as the faster guys come down at the end, I think it's going to be a bit of a struggle for them, but you know, it's fun. So still loving it.
Can you give us some insight into some of the trickier sections of the course that you're dealing with?
I think like the top and then through the trees are pretty difficult just because there's so much roughness going on in the trees, and it's the steepest part of the track. But up top, the dust is just so deep now that I think it's hard to hold your grip and easy to just blow out of the corners.
Really quickly, who do you got your money on for the pro men?
I don't know. It's hard, but I feel like Loris or Troy or Menara put down a good run, so we'll see. Yeah.
Pretty fast, safe bets there, guys. We got Finn Iles here in the hot seat at the Crankworx Leger Downhill presented by iXS.
I like the picks. What are you thinking, Needles? Do you like the picks that Finn threw down there?
Loris Verger, for me, he's coming off some of the best form in his life. Took a second place at Leogang. One thing that is against these guys, they did practice super early this morning, and like he said, the course is drying out, and they're not going to know where it's blown.
So those are some of the things to look at, and I'll tell you what, we have the top 5 women ready to drop it on this course, and it's coming your way right after this. Don't go away.
We're trying to make a drivetrain that works better. We're trying to improve upon the things that we had done.
Introducing the all-new SRAM GX Eagle drivetrain. No matter what kind of rider you are or the kind of terrain you might ride, Eagle is simply the best. GX Eagle drivetrains have a range of gears that rival or flat out beat most 2x systems. Engineered in Germany, made for the world. This is GX Eagle.
Crankworx Leger, brought to you by Leger Bike Park, the best bike park in all of Europe. Well, it's time to take a look at our standings for the Queen of Crankworx as it stands right now, this being stop at number 2. You see Jill Kittner, Needles, on the top with that 350 total points, and earlier she came down this course and she's currently in that hot seat.
Yes, she amassed some points last night in the pump track, taking that win over Callum Buchanan. Here we see in the downhill, such a versatile rider. She's really taken to downhill, works a lot of in the off-season on her skill, obviously rides with husband Bryn Atkinson, and it's paying off here. She came down, rode the woods extremely clean. She was pushing hard in the grass turns, and she took that hot seat by over 2 seconds over Casey Brown.
And she looks solid. I mean, when you're defending your throne from Queen of Crankworx, you got to come out and you got to compete in a lot of events to get that title that she earned so much last year, and putting up a good time here today, earlier today.
It's a busy schedule for her. She's fit, so she's obviously juggling different events, practice, qualifying. It's good to see her put down a clean run here. That's good points for the Queen of Crankworx for the season.
Well, her time 3:32.34 is what she put across, and she is now in the hot seat. But let's talk about Crankworx Fantasy for a minute. Now, we've changed things up this year. You can pick your fantasy team for each individual discipline daily. So you don't have to pick all your teams for every single event all the way through. You can pick it daily, and that's what's fun about it, because there's daily prizes now. There is the grand prize, getting to go to Whistler for 5 days and get some money along with it. But it's all about picking your team. You can pick your team each day, see who you're feeling like could be on top, and that's how you do it. Crankworx Fantasy, just like that.
Yeah, it's more excitement, more bang for your buck, prizes every day. It gets you more invested when you log on and you're watching the racing.
Now, would you pick your friends, Needles, or would you try to just be, you know, I'm going to be unbiased here and pick who I think is going to win?
No, I'm going to be unbiased and biased to myself. I want those prizes, so I'm going to do my research, log on, see who's on the start list, and go from there.
Well, what an amazing time it's been out here for the last few days. I mean, it's night and day from what it was last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, we got the weather to boot. It's been amazing weather. Everyone's taking runs after practice, enjoying the awesome Port de Soleil area. And we're in for an action-packed race here on the downhill.
Now, for you, is it less pressure now that you're not racing? You're out here, you're commentating. You're still on your bike all the time, but it's a little less pressure?
Less pressure. There's different kind of nerves. Like we said, when I started New Zealand, I've still got kind of butterflies in the stomach, but I'm excited more than I'm feeling nervous.
Well, let's take a look at the 5 women that we're going to be seeing coming down there and the time that they have to beat. Keep this one in mind. Jill Kittner's time is a 3:32.34. And these are women that we have seen so far. They've come down, but right now Jill is still in that hot seat with the 3:32.34. Can that be beat by the women that we have coming up, Needles?
I'd hate to say I think it will. I think there's women on great form. Like we said, Tracy Hanna coming off the form of her life. She's preparing for that World Champs in her hometown later in the year. She's coming off a first place for Fort William. Current leader in our downhill championship after taking the win in Rotorua early in the year.
Yeah, and you look at what she did last year, Canadian Open and Whistler, a first place for her out there. Second in Rotorua in 2016. So she's been on point, and even a second in Lords too as well for Tracy Hanna. So she's been on point pretty much since last year.
And Morgan Shaw, 1 year last year in the mud, but she's really suited to these technical tracks. This is a raw, natural downhill track. Not a lot of bike park like we've seen in some of the other races. More like Rotorua, very natural, rough track. It's also fitness is going to play a part here because I'm hearing from the riders that they're suffering from arm pump down the bottom here. It's getting rougher. So we'll see what's going to play out.
Well, tomorrow there is another broadcast going on. You'll be able to check that on Red Bull TV. It is going to, of course, slope style. Crankworx Leger slope style. That is what everyone's here to see. Nikolai Rogatkin, can he repeat? He won it in Rotorua. Can he come out and do it tomorrow? It's going to be a fun show for sure. So you can see all of our fans coming on in here and getting ready for it. And the weather's been absolutely just phenomenal the whole time we've been here. And you've been on the bike pretty much every day.
I have. I've been doing my research on track, doing a few runs.
Is that what you call it, research?
Oh, certainly.
You're having fun too, though.
I'm having a lot of fun.
So it's research and fun at the same time, right? All right, so Morgan Shaw will be the first one. Now, I did not know much about her as of last year, but when she came out, she kind of surprised a lot of people. She came out and took the win, and we talk about the conditions. The conditions were horrendous, horrible, muddy, whatever you want to call it. So being dusty and sunny, does that still give her a chance to take the win, or is she better in the rough conditions?
Yeah, Morgan Shaw, 2012 world champion. Like we mentioned earlier, she rides flat pedals, so that's going to play into her favor in these fast open turns. You can be more aggressive because if you make a mistake, you kind of make up for it, dab a foot here and there. You can be a bit more loose on the bike. But with it getting rougher down the bottom of the track, that's where it's going to play into the people with clip pedals.
So what Finn Isles was saying, as the conditions get dustier, that's going to make it a little bit tougher for all the top riders?
Yeah, there's a bit more uncertainty. They obviously practiced this morning. Morgan Shaw's riding very clean here. We haven't got a split from her yet. This is the famous bobsled corner. You want to get off the brakes here. And there's a really bumpy left. She's kind of gone in the bumps for the main line. She's going to drop out of the woods here. Then it's a fun and fast grass section. You can't see on screen, but there's some very deep ruts, kind of after last year's mud.
And also not having a lot of snow in the winter for her too out here. Leger did not get much snow, so that's got to change things for the course too as well.
Yeah. So she's obviously, arms are burning here. You're about 2.5 minutes into your run. Looks like she's had a clean run. We don't see any dirt on her jersey or pants. She's letting it all hang out here. She's coming into the last kind of grass section. What you want to do here, you don't want to run too hot in the first turn. You go to about 3 turns, Brad. If you mess the first one up, you're going to lose flow in the next 2.
So you talked to me a little bit about flats versus clip. What do you think is recommended out here for today's competition?
It's all rider preference at the end of the day. This is one of the courses that I think does suit a rider that rides flats. It's all up to rider preference, whatever you can ride faster.
And so we look at her now. She's trying to beat the 3:32, 3:4. That's what Jill Kittner has in that hot seat right now. Look at the time here. Here we go. Making her way down. Looks like she's out of touch with that one. She's not going to be able to challenge Jill for this one. So no repeat champion out here in Leger this year. Morgan Schar going to cross 3:38.08 is going to be the time for her. That'll put her in that 4th spot. Let's take our attention back up top. And who do we got next, Needles?
Emily Siegenthaler. She's come off some podiums. Last year, she had a podium at her home track in Lenzerheide. Great form. She was also 2nd place here last year. She's riding for the Pivot Factory team. Chooses a air shock in the rear. It's definitely lighter, which plays into the ladies' favor. The lighter you can get the bike, they can kind of move it around better. She's coming into the steep wood section, holding that high line there in the step down, coming into the bobsled section, holding very good speed here. Let's see what line she takes here. A bit higher on the berm, they're missing some of the bumps.
We should have a split for her in just a moment as she's cruising down this course, looking to beat that 3:32, 3:4. What's the time going to tell us here for Emily Siegenthaler as she comes down here, our 2nd woman to go? There's the time ticking away right there. So 2:34 and some change.
And you can see how deep those ruts are, and kind of they form in berms, even though they're on the grass banks. You know, they're not man-made at all. It's kind of the riders that are cutting them in.
Siegenthaler, remember, she got 2nd place in Rotorua, and she was also 2nd place last year here in Leger. So very used to being up on that podium. Our current leader right now, keep this one in mind, 3:32, 3:4 belonging to Jill Kittner. She is in the hot seat right now.
Yeah, teammate of Bernard Kerr, our 2015 Crankworx, king of Crankworx, if I'm going to correct myself there.
Yeah,
so the time ticking away here, she's within range, Brad.
Can she reel in that time? Emily Siegenthaler, 3:26. Here we go. She's going to come across the time. Check it in. Check the time for #1 spot, 3:31.18. Siegenthaler in charge with that one, and that's 1.16 ahead of Jill Kittner. So Jill Kittner bumped down to 2nd. Who do we got now, Needles?
Manon Carpenter. We've seen her a little bit at the Whistler Crankworx event. She's on a new team this year, Radon Factory Racing. Very talented rider all round. She'll be on clip pedals, as will the next 2 ladies. So let's see how that plays into her favor compared to someone like Morgan Schar. Extremely talented on the technical. She's up by 1.4. That's a really good margin because she's done probably 2/3 of the course as she comes out of the woods.
That's what you're trying to do. Remember last night for Carpenter, 3rd place in Leger in the pump track. So already took a bronze medal since she's been out here. So this always helps. A good finish here today could help her in the Crankworx standings for the Queen.
Yeah, decent form. Coming with 4th place at Fort William, 4th place at Leogang. Last year at Crankworx in Whistler, she had a 2nd place. So she's really accustomed to the podiums here at Crankworx. She's pushing hard here.
And one of the premier Canadian Open events out there in Whistler, she was 2nd last year.
Yeah, so these grass turns, you're up to kind of maximum speed. So if you can get a tuck on, you can generate some more speed. I think she's right on the time there. She might have lost a bit compared to Emily Siegenthaler in these grass turns.
Well, she had over a 2nd to work with right now. Is that going to be enough at the 3-minute mark, looking to beat the 3:31?
New line there. She's holding really tight on that inside, trying to get out of the bumps. Her arms are probably on fire this late stage in the downhill run there.
Down the step down for Carpenter. 3:18 and counting.
It's going to be extremely close, Brad. She's just got the last step down and then all the way to the finish. Looking like she'll take that hot seat.
Oh, look at this. Check the time. And then Carpenter, can she do it? 3:31.49. She does it by 0.31.
Just wasn't enough. She's obviously lost some time in those open grass sections. We saw some of her different inside lines. Maybe they didn't pay off.
Yeah, so close. Just 0.31 away from Siegenthaler. So Siegenthaler dodging a bullet there. But on Carpenter in 2nd.
Meryem Nicole, hometown here. There'll be some emotions, some extra pressure riding in front of home fans. She's switched back to the 27.5 wheels. She'd been testing and riding 29.9er wheels. She did say she liked it, but maybe she feels this course suits a 27.5 wheel size.
So was she riding the 29s in World Cup competition this year?
She was, and I've seen her on track. She's looking very good. Extremely gifted rider, good on the technical tracks. She's previously ridden flat pedals. She's on clips for now. She's had some injuries that's really kept her back. Oh, and she's flying down the wood section. This is a great track for her. Holding good speed there through the bobsleigh section. Through the bumps there on the left berm, but there's no real other line there. She's coming on the step down on the grass. Hopefully she can keep it together. Her fitness should be good. She's had a good off-season, recovering from some of those injuries from last year.
Well, can she hold it together here at 225 and counting? Trying to beat the 331.18. That's what Emily Siegenthaler has.
She's getting nice and low. She's up to maximum speed, so the more she can tuck, it's more aerodynamic. She can gain a little bit extra speed in these fast grass turns. Dropping a foot, it seems. Letting it all hang out here at the bottom. She's got a bit of gap here to work with. We don't see the time when she crosses the road. I think she's still up, though. She's just got a couple more turns, that last road gap to circumnavigate. Another foot that she drops. She's been really aggressive, but holding high lines.
So here we go. Down the step down, 308, trying to beat the 331.18 the Siegenthaler has.
Yeah, one more turn to go, then the step down. Then she's into the last finish straight. That's super quick.
Here we go. She's had great results. Third in Leogang, second at Fort William this year, fourth in Lourdes. Can she do it here today? Comes across the time, 325.70. She has done it by 5.48 seconds. Wow.
That is a big run. You saw how attacking she was in those open grass turns, deciding to just hang a foot. Probably wasn't touching the brakes, letting the bike drift. Really big. There's only one left, Brad.
It only comes down to just one more left. And she had this to say about this particular course.
It's kind of an like a destination that, as a young rider, you look to as like a, I don't know, superstar event. It's like a special place because you know that historically all the fastest riders in the world have been there. All your heroes, Ian Caroline, Fabian Brel, all those dudes have raced there. So riding there, kind of in their footsteps, is pretty cool. And I think that the track has kind of kept up to standard and it's pretty gnarly. So I think that seeing the kind of track that they used to ride and what we're riding now and how fast they were and how fast we're trying to be, it's pretty impressive.
Tracy Hanna, she's lost a little bit of time in the woods. So we heard from her how important it is to race on this track. She's coming off the form of her life with the first place Fort William, current World Cup Series leader. Let's see. Meryem Nicole was super quick in these grass turns, so Tracy's really going to need to hang it out, but that she can do.
I think she might be too far back, Needles, to be able to reel this one in. Meryem Nicole just had just a blazing run at 325.70.
It was just that. It was great up top, put a bit of time gap in, and then she just increased that lead all the way down in the last third on these fast grass turns. I loved her technique, deciding to attack, drop that foot in case of any mishaps there, and she was drifting around. Really, really impressive ride by Meryem Nicole.
Well, Meryem, remember, 5.48 seconds ahead of Emily Siegenthaler in that second spot, so that's a big
new line there from Tracy. She decided to go wide of those bumps. It helps her to set up for the next right-hander. Let's see if she can draw some time back, but she really needs to push hard here. Pumps that step down. She's only got one little creek gap to go and then navigate the turn where Petey lost his 2004 World Championship. We'll talk about that more in the men's. And final step down. Let's see how hard she can push to the finish.
Well, here we go. Can she get the time? Did she reel it back in? She's trying to beat the 325.70. No, she cannot do it. She made up some time, 327.42, but she is going to have to settle for second place. That means Meryem Nicole, the French woman, is going to take the win out here today with the 325.70. Tracy Hanna is going to find herself in second place with a 327.42, and Emily Siegenthaler in third, 331.18. And that's how it's breaking down. Manon Carpenter in fourth, and Jill Kittner rounding out your top five.
Big, big run from Meryem Nicole. We could see how hard she was attacking, especially down the bottom in the grass sections. Really played into her favor, those smaller wheels. She obviously felt like she could push harder.
Man, a lot of gap in there between Tracy Hanna and Emily Siegenthaler right there. Well, I think we need to check in with Hannah Bernard, who's downstairs right now. Hannah, what's going on down there?
Well, thank you, Brad. Well, I'm standing here with the woman of the moment. We have Meryem Nicole, one of the fastest ladies on a downhill bike. France, make some noise for the lady doing it on home soil, taking away the gold. Meryem, how good does this feel to do this in your home country?
This is so good. I could not race Crankworx last year because I was injured, and I'm so stoked to race and to take the win. So yeah, it was a great battle, and really stoked about that.
Can you walk us through the gold medal run down this hill today?
Yeah, I didn't know if that would be fast enough. I struggled a bit on top section, but yeah, and there was flat out in the off-camber, and I really loved it, and really stoked about it.
Well, congratulations, guys. Your gold medalist here in the Crankworx Leger Downhill, presented by iXS.
Well, I'll tell you what, some amazing stuff, some amazing riding needles out of Meryem Nicole right there, 3:25.70. You know, Tracy Hanna, you got to give it up for her. She was only 1.7 behind, but there's even a bigger gap between Tracy Hanna and Emily Siegenthaler from that number 2 to number 3. And there's the times right there. What are you thinking there, Needles?
Well, Tracy Hanna, great run by her. She's normally very good in the dry conditions, but it's always going to be a challenge to take home someone on home soil, Meryem Nicole.
Is it also, too, what we heard from Finn Isles saying as it gets dustier, it gets more blown out? Does that make a difference on the times towards the end here?
It does make a difference, but they're only about 2-3 minutes apart, so that isn't going to make much difference unless Meryem Nicole had to bump a rock or blow out one of the turns. Then it's going to make a difference. But that sort of gap, not too much difference.
Well, coming up for you, the top 28 men will take to this Leger downhill course presented by iXS. They are all on the way, and they're frothing to drop in on this course. It's all coming up. Stay with us. Crankworx Leger, stop number 2 on the Crankworx World Tour.
Because fast never goes out of style. Because epic rides should actually be epic. Because steep is relative. Code was designed to deliver massive power and predictable modulation for braking control when and how you want it, on the longest descents and under the burliest loads. Better, stronger, faster.
Crankworx Leger, brought to you by Whistler Mountain Bike Park. Love the feeling of being truly awake. Welcome everybody back joining us here. We are live here in Leger, France. our Crankworx World Tour. Stop number 2. Andrew Needling here with me, Brad J. And looking at things right now, your Crankworx World Tour standings, well, Shark Attack Jack, the #1 spot.
And he's closely followed by Mick Hanna, Elliot Jackson. That comes off Rotorua. That's how they finished there. Shark Attack Jack, he won last year. He won the whole series. He's going to be a man to be reckoned with this season.
And he's been on fire this year too as well, so he's been killing it too.
He's in the best form of his life, coming off a 2nd place at Fort William. Well, a win in Rotorua.
Being here in France, you do notice a lot of French pride, don't you?
It's home soil. They're known for downhill mountain biking. They've had former world champions all over the place. Case in point, Fabien Rel, he won his first world title here on home soil 2004. Loris Vergier, again, another man on extremely great form, coming with 2nd place at Leogang, narrowly missing out on a win. Morgan Shaw, former world champion of the women, won here last year. There is a bit of kind of, not home course advantage, but you kind of give a little bit extra when you're in front of your home fans.
Well, and case in point, let's talk about Adrian Larone yesterday in the Pump Track Challenge presented by RockShox. He had talked about being in front of his home soil and having all his family members there, and that's how it played out. Now, taking a look at it right now, that's the guys we're going to be seeing. Eddie Masters, you see right there. You see all the way, you see Blankey in that mix, Elliot Jackson from the U.S., George Brannigan there.
Yeah, you'll see a lot of French riders. Pierre Ony, you need to look out for him. He's come off a podium before. Alex Fiola, another Frenchman, winner in Lords with a bit of rain-soaked race, but an extremely fast run. Not to forget, Loris Vergier, Jack Moore, Greg Menard, Marcelo as well. It's going to be a great, great race today. If someone forced me to put some money down, I'm not sure what I would do with it.
Come on, you got to have a little inside
Honestly,
scoop. What are you thinking?
Inside scoop?
If you were to say just one rider you think that's definitely going to do it.
Yeah, you know, well, what about if I said Eddie Masters, a checkers or wreckers kind of guy?
Okay,
He's known for qualifying super good, sometimes throws it away in the race, but there wasn't qualifying, so maybe this is a qualifying race for him.
And he was 4th actually last night in Pump Track, so Eddie Masters on course.
Yeah, Eddie Masters, he might play hard, work hard, but he's an extremely fit guy, super talent. Like we said, he's had some extremely good qualifications, sometimes pushing a bit hard in the race. This might work into his favor. Let's pick him up here in the woods.
Well, he's trying to beat a 3:07.63, Needles. That's the time of Romain Pahen from France. That's the time that he has, 3:07.63.
Yeah, he's coming down this steep section, a little hop there, down into the berms of the bobsled section. Here's when you want to just get off the brakes as much as you can. Dropping down, little step down, then they're going to jump out of the woods. This is where you want to get your setups good. You don't want to come too inside into these turns. You really want to open up the turns. It gives you way more exit speed in these fast sections. So as you see, he drops inside into that big deep rut. Pedals on the way out. He's carrying some good speed. He'll be a benchmark for us to see on the splits, and obviously how low these men are going to go on their times.
All right, I saw him quick with that foot right there. Is he on flats or he clipped in?
No, Eddie's a clip rider. But what is also a good technique is to unclip before the turn, kind of dangle your leg. It helps for balance. It helps to get more aggressive in these turns. Because if you stay feet up, that's very good if you want to pedal out. But if you make a mistake and you can't unclip in time, you're going to kind of risk having a big crash.
Well, here we go down the step down, 2:55 and counting. He's trying to beat a 3:07.63, Andrew.
Yeah, he's got to push really hard, running wide there. One more step down. He's close to the time. I'm not sure he's going to do it though, Brad.
It doesn't look like it. Looks like he's going to be off by a little bit. Let's check in the time here. The time going to be in for Eddie Masters down there in the 9th spot of 3:11.15. Right below Adrian Daly, who is in 8th. So right now, Romain Pahen still the best time, 3:07.63. So there's the time right there. As I said, he's in 9th. So top 10, will he end up that way? I doubt it with 28 guys out there.
Yeah, Pierre Georges, I was speaking to throughout training. Very tall, lanky rider, strong rider. He's opted for dry tires. And the reason I say that, I'm going to bring it up throughout this broadcast. You can either ride, obviously, dry, which everyone at home thinks you should ride. But looks like he might be up, but we'll confirm that split.
Looked like he was up by 1.
So with it being so loose, Brad, if you take a spike tire and you cut it, obviously called a cut spike, that opens up the tread and you can kind of get better high lines and it gives you a bit more grip. So it depends on the rider preference. I've spoken to a lot of riders. Some on cut spikes, some on dry, some on intermediate. That's really going to play into a key factor of this race.
Do you like the choice he has made today on these tire choices?
Personally, I would probably have gone for a cut spike. I think it digs in harder. You can have tighter lines in these off-camber sections. And I know back in 2004, Fabian Burrell won on spike and a wet tire in the bone dry.
Very good point. Now we're at the 3-minute mark here, trying to beat the 3:07.63. Romain Paulhan with that time.
Yeah, times are going to be close here. There's a lot of depth to this field. Even a second two is going to drop you like 4 or 5 places.
Yeah, he's going to be out of touch with that top 10 with the time in for him on that one. We'll see what that is, but he'll be outside the top 10 with just 3:11.97, so 15 plays for Pierre Charles Georges. So that's where he is going to end up.
This to me looks like Matt Walker.
You nailed that one.
Indeed. We're picking him up a little bit lower. He's in the grass open section already. Awesome step down, mimics the course from 2004, dropping into that rut, pedals on the way out. He's holding some very good speed here. He's choosing to stay clipped in, holding those high lines. Yeah, he's going for a speed tuck. Dropping that foot that we can see on that big arcing left-hander.
There's his time right there. Matt Walker, Romain Paulhan, 3:07.63. That is the benchmark. That is the time to beat for the men.
Yeah, extremely fast time that Romain's put down. We didn't get to see his run, but we got a lot more riders on course still to come.
Well, and Matt Walker was leading in the charge for the king of Crankworx as we got to Leger, but he has since been leapfrogged in that position, so he's no longer in the lead for the king.
Yeah, we saw him in pump track. He went out a little bit early, so he's dropped a few points. He needs to push hard here, kind of hopefully gain some points. It's going to be tough with the rules of the king of Crankworx. You need to be in the top 10.
So just outside the top 10 for that one, that's going to be a 3:11.64, and he's 4 seconds off that top time of Romain Paulhan with that 3:07.63 needles.
So another man to select dry tires. Schwabi there, Muddy Mary. Excuse me. Oh, we've got Fabian Burrell. So this course made famous with his win here back in 2004 over Steve Peat, who was up at the second last split and then threw it all away. It's probably still hurting to hear that.
And we saw Steve Peat come down earlier today.
So Fabian Burrell, instrumental in putting this Canyon Factory team together. He's worked a lot on bike development, and he's no slouch on a bike, so he loves to race. He says it's still fun. He's getting out here with his team that he's put together. We're going to see Troy Brosnan. We're going to see Mark Wallace later on. But it's good to see, you know, the kind of manager of the team still out there racing. He still lives for it.
And you see the time that he is trying to beat once again, 3:07.63. Keep that time in mind.
Holding a tight line there, but it kind of messed him up for that left-hander. You saw him drift, lose a little bit of speed there on that left-hander. It must be amazing for him to still race at this venue. Must be some good memories winning that championship in 2004.
I don't know if he's going to do it. It looks like he's out of touch with the time for the top spot. That's going to check in. Fabian Burrell, 9th place, a 3:11.04 for him.
He had a really good run going last year here in the wet, till he went off track, kind of in the same place that Petey made his mistake.
So Fabian in the 9th, Adrian Daly in that 8th spot. Let's take our attention back up top for our next rider dropping in needles.
Yeah, Baptiste Piron, we're going to see his brother Amir Piron, who's had a World Cup podium. Very young French riders. These are guys to watch out for, especially on home turf. Run on the Mondraker. I don't know a whole lot about these riders, but all I know is they're not scared to go fast.
And it seems like they're just that much more motivated competing in France when they're out here doing their downhill.
Yeah, and Crankworx is such a big stage for these guys. You know, if you can have a result, it really puts you on the map. People start taking notice of you, sponsorship comes flying your way, all sorts of things.
Baptiste Piron now 2:12 and counting. Once again, 3:07.63 the time to beat.
Yeah, he's really committed to those turns. He's holding a lot of speed, not needing to pedal too much, dropping a foot there, letting the bike hang loose. Oh, the amazing views here in Leger as well. You don't have time to look at them when you're racing though. This time is on point. That time in the guy in the hot seat, Romain Paulin, he's really put down a really good run. We're getting into almost the last 20 here, so he's going to have a very respectable time come the end of the day.
See those braking bumps in that section right there. Is Baptiste Perron making his time down there. You think what Finn was saying, this course is tougher because it's dry?
Yeah, it's a fine line. You can really push a little bit too hard. You know, you could push hard in practice and it would hold you. Now it's a lot dustier. There's fine dust that sits on top of all those braking bumps as well.
So here we go. He's going to cross the finish. The time, he's going to check in with a 3:10.08. So he'll be in that 6th spot. So a very good finish. He's in the top 10. He's in 6th. All right, well, we'll send our attention back up top to keep these riders coming fast and furious in here.
Dean Lucas, young Aussie on the Intense Factory team. He's on a 29er. We'll talk about that a bit during the show. We'll see Loris Vergier and Greg Menard on their 29ers. Apparently George Branning has swapped back to 27.5.
Do you think this type of course would favor 29 or better for the 27.5, Needles?
It's really tough. I think a taller rider and he's used to his 29er, it'll suit that because there's a lot of braking bumps now. It's rougher, it's super fast. I think the 29er, if you're comfortable with it, will be a bike of choice.
So Dean Lucas right now, once again, time to beat 3:07.63. Romain Paulin with that score, or with that time. So he's our top dog right now.
Dean Lucas, when he's feeding the course, like he did in Lenzerheide 2 years ago, 2016, landed himself on the podium. Australian. There you see, he can push hard on those 29 wheels, even dragging a foot there.
That seems to be the norm. We see a lot of guys dragging their feet around those turns just to keep it on track.
You can get a bit more aggressive. Often, if you want to keep feet up, you've got to brake a bit more before the turn. These guys are opting to drag a foot, brake a lot less, opting straight for those bumps. He's really holding good lines. He's not too late on all the turns. That's key, Brad. If you come in too hot to that first left-hander where you see all those bumps, you're going to blow the next right and next left.
He's coming into view here, Dean Lucas.
This time is looking good, Brad. I think he's going to take down this time.
Oh, check the time right now for Dean Lucas. What's it going to be? Check the time. Dean Lucas coming across.
Oh.
Top 3:08.71 into 3rd place right there. That's going to bump Josh Bryceland now down into 4th. So Rapoy will settle for 4th right now. Joshua Bunton in 2nd. Romain Paulin in that top spot. 3:07.63. That's the time to beat as we go back up top.
Forrest Rusco, young up-and-coming Canadian rider. We haven't seen a lot about him, but we've seen him at some Crankworx events. We're going to see him here if he can put down a run. Be proud of. He's on an Intense bicycle, Fox suspension. So here in the woods, there's a couple option lines there. He's running the outside. Oh, very good speed that he's carrying there into this bobsleigh section. Yeah, so Forrest, away from home, you're in a foreign land, France. You better get used to eating baguettes, ham and cheese for breakfast, lunch and dinner. But it's great. I think it gets the riders out of their comfort zone. Some guys can handle it and some can't. Let's see what Forrest is. For me, it was always such an adventure. I love going to new places, seeing new culture. I actually raced my first World Cup here in 2002 in Leger. I remember to this day, it was an amazing, amazing experience. So yeah, it's kind of an emotional venue for me as well.
Well, now Forrest is creating his own memories here today, trying to see if he can stay in touch with the times out there through those bumps right there.
Holding tight line. Nice and early for that right-hander and the left. Going to come a little step down. And there's a road gap that was super tricky last year, but these guys have managed to push through them, gaining a lot of speed.
Well, it was tougher last year because of all the mud. Slower conditions last year down that road step down.
Forrest is really pushing it. Really good run he's putting together. There's an extremely, extremely talented field that he's riding against away from home here in France.
Risco is going to jump into the 6th spot, a 3:09.64. He's 2 seconds off that top time of Romain Paulin with the 3:07.63 right now. So that is still the time. It is still holding up right now.
Dakota Norton, he burst onto the scene at Whistler a couple years back, probably 2 years back, on winning the dual slalom. No slouch on a downhill bike. He's coming overseas. He's working on his downhill, all this new courses, culture, all those things. We saw him in Whip-Off as well. The top of the section is extremely fast. It's just the man that cannot touch the brakes here is going to do well. And there's no time to warm up. You've got to really get on it. And dropping into the woods here. He's in the bobsled section. Your arms are starting to burn here. You're hoping for the open grass section where you can kind of just take a breather on the hands.
Dakota Norton, a good all-around rider. Guy competes in so many different events. And you can see there's the hot seat right there. Romain Paulhan right there in our lower right. Sitting there very nervous watching because he knows that's probably not going to hold up.
Yeah, it'd be safe to say it's probably going to get knocked out of that, but we don't know. I mean, he's obviously a local French rider. He's an extremely talented guy. He's got some big results out there throughout this downhill season. We never quite know till the last few riders.
I agree, but Vergier, Marcelo Gutierrez, Jack Moyer, Greg Menard are all still to come.
These are big names. That is a definite fact. Holding tight lines here, keeping feet up on these turns and the grass turns. Oh!
All right, now looking at his, how's that bike behaving? What do you think about the suspension there? Yes.
Well, I've been speaking to some of the guys. Obviously, they're coming off maybe a bike park track at Leogang. Some of them have softened up the rear, raised the bars. His bike seems to be tracking the ground really good. I think you've got to go for a little bit softer in the rear, keep the front up because it's quite steep up there.
Well, that's quite respectable right there for Dakota Norton, 309.38, and you can see Romain Paulhan. He dodges yet another bullet out there. Dakota Norton, that's a respectable finish there, top 6 right now.
Sam Blankey, his racing and results speak for itself. What an all-round talent. Uses a lot of body English on the bike. You know, it's really exciting to watch. He's always hopping, jumping, pedaling in the air, doing everything he can to gain speed. I spoke to him. He's on a prototype Norco, very high main pivot. They have to run the chain also over a pivot to decrease kind of the chain tension when it goes to suspension. So what that bike does is it's really good on the big bumps, which is going to play into his favor on this course. The wheelbase actually lengthens a little bit through impact of these bumps, so it gets out of the way better than some of the other designs on the market. But some say it pedals worse, but Blankey loves his new bike.
Well, Blankey had some amazing results in 2015 in Crankworx. And even a great result in Rotorua in 2016, a 4th place finish out there. So let's see what Blankey could do here.
Yeah, he's a man that can put it on the box, be it in Euro, downhill, air downhill, Gobonza. Really a favorite of the Crankworx event. We haven't got a split time for you. He's looking on par though with these other riders. Maybe even up.
Well, once again, 307.63. That's what Romain has right there. That's the time to beat, 307.63.
Yeah, he's an exciting rider to watch, Brad. Always looks fast. Sometimes the clock doesn't agree with him, but he's an exciting rider to see. Like we said, a lot of body English, movement on the bike, scrubs, pedals in the air, you name it.
Blankey right at that 3-minute mark right now.
This is looking good, Brad, to challenge the time.
Yeah. Check the time here for Blankey. He comes across the #1 spot, 307.41. Blankey to the hot seat. Romain Paulhan, who's been in there for a year and a day, will have now been dispatched, and Sam Blankenstop will take over that top spot with a 307.41. So Blankey definitely feeling pretty good about that one. Now we go back up top for Charlie Harrison now up next.
Charlie Harrison, breakout year last year. Really getting some good results. Young up-and-comer on the Intense Factory team. A Dayglow yellow bike. He's on the 27.5 wheels though. He hasn't got the 29 yet.
And you say yet on that?
Well, I mean, with everyone jumping on the 29 bag wagon, these teams are a little bit behind the 8 ball. You know, Syndicate came out with it early in the year. Other teams have developed, but you know, a lot of the bikes are prototypes, so they don't have enough bikes. We saw Steve Pete early. He was still on the 27.5. They don't have enough bikes for all the riders just yet.
So Charlie Harrison on course trying to beat Blankey's 307.41. That's the top time so far. Our pro men's class here in Leger, stop #2 on the Crankworx World Tour.
Oh, big commitment through there. That was really fast through that turn. Not having to pedal out of it, carrying good speed. Opting to go feet up here on that right-hand turn. Obviously, he's finding some very good grip out there. He's a little bit behind Blankey's time from what we can see. Still a very competitive time. Put in some pedal strokes. There's the last few pedal strokes you can actually take before you come to the finish line. There's not a lot of pedaling, Brad, but I'm telling you now, these guys' heart rates are at max. Arms are burning.
3:07.41. Blankey's in the hot seat. And Charlie Harrison challenged that. Elliot Jackson, we're getting word that he will be coming up next. 3:07.41.
Oh, slipping out there. Very committed, though. Let's see what the time tells us.
It looks like he's going to be out of touch with that top time. Charlie Harrison's going to get in there in a top 10 finish right now. As of right now, a 3:10.05 for him. That's 2.6 seconds behind Blanketstop, who's got that top spot. And there we go, attention back up top. Elliot Jackson now.
Elliot Jackson, all new ride for him on the Giant Factory team. It's good to see him get some big factory support, and it's paying off. He's had some of the biggest speed in his career. He's shown very good potential. Coming off 3rd place, Rotorua, came out swinging early season.
Yeah, Elliot Jackson, like you said, 3rd place out there in Rotorua just a couple months ago. So has him in a good spot right now in the overall downhill championship for Crankworx. That's what he's trying to make a case for, but in 3rd place in Rotorua, that's a good start.
Yeah, he comes from motocross background. That might play into his favor in these big, fast, open turns, you know. He's obviously used to speed. He's off to the heavy machine in the motocross, so he's been working extremely hard on his fitness, doing a lot of road miles in the off-season. So he just pops the podcast in and off he goes for hours on end. Always a smile, great guy to have around on a team or in the pits, just having a good time, living the dream here, racing his bike.
There's Blankey down there on the bottom right. He is in that hot seat right now with a 3:07.41.
Yeah, Elliot not in touch compared to Blankey's time as he crosses that line. Getting his last few pedal strokes in. Yeah, we did some testing previously and we found it was even shumpery over in Switzerland in the Port de Soleil area. We had heart rate monitors. I think he might have a flat tire. He was losing a bit of traction there, but we can't be certain just yet why he's drifting so much. Maybe it was just him pushing. No, it doesn't look as flat. I clearly have made a mistake there, but he was definitely drifting.
Yeah. No, he's not a factor here today, so Elliot Jackson will have to look to Crankworx stop number 3 in Innsbruck next weekend.
Yes, as I was saying, we did some testing on a course that had barely any pedaling. We were maxing out our heart rates all the way down with no pedaling, so it's all the adrenaline.
Well, we talk about all the French riders. You're talking about Pierre Ony here.
This is my danger man, Pierre Ony. He's coming off some big results over in Lords. He's extremely fast there. He's had a podium there before, so he knows how to ride on home soil. He's a man that's young, not scared to let it hang out. Some injuries have actually taken him out, but he's coming back strong.
Needles, what's the formula that it takes on race day to compete at a high level?
This is a different format, you know. Most races, we have a seeding run, so you can kind of judge your speed against the competitors and yourself. Yeah, very unique format. It's just one race. You do practice, obviously practice throughout the week, one race, and then you're going in. It's a fine line, you know. You've got to just practice as fast as you can and put that all into a race run come now.
You like it better having the seeding runs, or do you like just to have that one run after practice?
No, I prefer having a seeding run, but in saying that, it's a different whole ball game, just having that one run, not knowing where everyone else is and not knowing how hard you can actually push it.
Is it a different mentality going into the race?
It definitely is, you know. You're not exactly sure how hard you want to push it, and you don't want to push too hard and risk a crash or something worse.
Well,
Pierre Ony is going good here. Extremely aggressive, talented rider.
You call him the danger man. Let's see if the danger man could get dangerously close to Blanketstop.
Yeah, I think
here.
this time is looking good. I really think he's in touch. It's going to be so close coming down to the line. I think he's got this one though, Brad.
Check the time for Pierre Ony. Here we go. Coming across, he's done it, 3:05.65. Pierre Ony into the top spot. Blankey is going to be bumped down to second, but Pierre Ony, boy, look at the big brain on Needles with that call right there. The danger man, proving that he can be dangerous. I mean, this is his soil. He's a French rider. That's got to feel pretty good, Needles.
Yeah, I mean, he came off an 8th in Lords. In 2016, he had a podium, and then some injuries took him out. Another up-and-coming rider. I've been very, very impressed with Jacob Dixon. Had some very good qualifications at Fort William, putting in consistent results in the World Cup Series. We haven't seen a lot of him at Crankworx events yet, but hopefully we'll see some more now that he's on Giant Factory Off-Road. Skinny, lanky rider reminds me of someone else.
Someone to my left, maybe?
Maybe. Yeah, it's such a great course to watch, Brad. These open turns, the guys can really let it hang out. Oh, going deep on that step down. Oh, big commitment. Big commitment into that left-hander. He was a little bit wider than he probably hoped for coming in there. Dragging a foot, obviously off the brakes there.
The Irish rider, Jacob Dixon, 230 and counting as he's making his way down this course here in Leger.
Yeah, he'll be a little bit far back, especially compared to Pierre Ony. He's a little bit behind Blankey's time at this. He's still got to push, though. There's still a lot of racetrack left here. Oh, pushing very hard through those bumps. Holding a bit late on that left. Going deep on that little step down, pushing down on the road gap.
Now we're at the 3-minute mark for Jacob Dixon. Yeah, he's going to be out of touch to try and take over that top time. He's already passed that. So the time in for the Irish rider, Jacob Dixon, that's going to be a 3:08.31. Respectable ride for Jacob to find himself in 5th place.
Yeah, very respectable ride. And we'll hopefully see him at some more Crankworx events. He's new to the Crankworx series. Very good ride for the young Irishman.
And back up top, all the focus now is on George Brannigan.
So George Brannigan, coming off some good results. He had knee surgery in the off-season, then he picked up a bit of mono. He's coming back from all that. He's decided to switch back from the 29 to the 27.5. That to me is very interesting. I haven't been able to catch up with him, but I went and found his bike in the pits and confirmed that.
So do you see more and more guys going from the 29 back down to the 27.5, or more going from the 27.5 to the 29?
It's a bit even at this stage. It's all about testing and what you feel confident on. That's a great thing about this 27.5, 29 debate at the moment. It's not as clean cut when everyone went from 26 to 27.5. Depends on the rider, the bike development, the time you had on it.
George Brannigan, a couple good results. Second place in New
Big on
Zealand.
the step down, pushing hard here. Very good excuse my language there, technique through the corner. Oh, he's pushing hard. Oh, he's got a bit of tape, but he stayed on track. And he's on the ragged edge there, collecting a bit of bunting tape on the way down. But he's in touch. I think this is a very good time.
Well, you got to take risks right there if you want to end up on the podium. You can see Meryem from France. He's watching right there and grooving to the tunes.
Yeah, it's all about risk-reward here. Like, he was pushing hard, but I don't think he lost a lot of time because he's got a bit of runoff on that turn.
Look at this time, we're 2:51 for Brannigan.
Yeah, George Brannigan landed himself on the podiums of Crankworx events before. What can he do here coming into the finish?
Hey, check
Got to beat a 3:05.
Check the time here. Here we go. Brannigan. Oh, he's done it. 3:04.39. George Brannigan into the top spot. Grab that hot seat right there. Pierre, now he goes to second. Blankey is now in third. Some serious, interesting racing going on now, Needles.
Yeah, it's all building for those last guys that we spoke about in the pre-show. What can guys like Vergier put down? You know, Greg Menard, if he wants to have a go at this.
But when I see a 3:04.39, I'm wondering at this point, do we see sub 3?
I think we're going to see at least a 3:02.
3:02, the call.
If not faster. Rupert Chapman, teammates with Bernard Kurt on that new Pivot factory racing team. Another man that likes to have fun, play hard, train hard kind of guy. Always smiling in the pits, extremely strong rider.
Good finish in Lords, 6th place for him, just outside the top 5.
Yeah, he had a great ride in Lords, very strong ride. Yes, there was a bit of rain, so it affected some of the results, but a great ride by him. Should give him some confidence coming into these races.
George Brannigan, the fastest time, 3:04.39.
Yeah, so those Pivot guys, they opt for a Air Fox rear shock. They obviously feel it suits their bike and their riding styles better. What that does is you can obviously fine-tune the air chamber, so your spring rate, easier than having a spring. but there's some drawback. Sometimes it's not as good grip on the small bump. Oh, as we spoke about that, loose dirt coming onto that road. He's just lost it there. Still a very competitive time, even with that. Oh, actually, no.
Oh,
no, he's actually a bit back looking at the time, Brad. Yeah, he's lost some time up in the woods. He's pushing as hard as he can, but he's losing time all the way down here.
Yeah, not enough time to be able to shave those seconds off. So he's going to be out of touch to Brannigan's 3:04.39. And he's going to cross with the time 3:14.11.
So not his best race, but he's got time to reset. We got Innsbruck next week. We've got more downhill racing coming up.
Well, taking a look at your leaderboard right now, as things stand, you can see your top three. Blankey in that third spot. He's holding 3 seconds off the top time. Pierre Ony in that second spot, the French rider. He's 1.2 off that. And George Brannigan just looking solid in that top one. You can see Ratboy down there in that 8th spot. Good to see him competing at Crankworx.
Yeah, great to see Josh Bryson back. He obviously retired from full competitive racing, but he's riding even more than ever, and he's choosing to come to our Crankworx events.
Well, things are getting excited. The top 10 racers, they are coming your way right after this. Hang with us.
We're trying to make a drivetrain that works better. We're trying to improve upon the things that we had done.
Introducing the all-new SRAM GX Eagle drivetrain. No matter what kind of rider you are or the kind of terrain you might ride, Eagle is simply the best. GX Eagle drivetrains have a range of gears that rival or flat out beat most 2x systems. Engineered in Germany, made for the world. This is GX Eagle.
Crankworx Leger, brought to you by SRAM, the power of bicycles, SRAM. Well, what an amazing place it is out here in Leger, and we talk about it all the time here. But all right, now let's check in with Hanna, standing by with our current leader. Hanna?
The guy that is in the hot seat right now, George Brannigan. Now, I think it's safe to say that you were riding on the edges there, actually taking out some tape on that open section there. I think it's safe to say you're also taking a lot of chances. So tell us about your run down the hill today.
I pretty much just tried to ride like practice, but it turns out the track was pretty slippery. We had about 5 hours or 5.5 hours after practice until our race run. And we just had hot, dry weather, and it's just dried it out and made it so loose. So I think just riding the same speed I did in practice was just a bit sketchy and on edge, so that's why I clipped a bit of tape and dragged it down with me.
We were just talking about how you were just coming off of an illness in Rotorua, so you weren't at your best. You feel good today. How confident do you feel in the hot seat right now?
I mean, it's pretty much a World Cup here with all the standard of riders that are here, so I think I had a pretty good run, but I'm not sure if that would be enough to win, to be honest.
Well, best of luck to you. Guys, back up to you.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. We're keeping things going here and heated up. You know, Brannigan, you look at what he's done, too. Second in Rotorua 2016, fourth in Rotorua 2015. So he's got some Crankworx podiums, or short, just missing the podium that in 2015. So Brannigan taking some chances, Needles.
He's always an exciting rider to watch, often doing gaps that a lot of other riders won't do in practice. We see that in Rotorua. And, man, he was on the ragged edge today, and it's paying off for him so far.
Well, this is Leger, and what an amazing place. You spent so much time out here riding your bike and hanging out in Leger. It's just a special place. You look forward to coming out here every single time you get a chance to be out here, don't you, Needles?
Yeah, it's one of the places we used to come in the middle of the season. We'd come over to Leger. You can head down to Morzine, over to Switzerland, where Champry, they had a former World Cup. It was just great to get away from the racing, go riding with your buddies. It's really good for kind of mid-season prep going into the races.
And it really is Europe's #1 bike park, isn't it?
I mean, with the amount of trails they have, the kind of diversity of trails they have, you can ride anything. Whatever you feel in the mood for, you can go ride. You can go ride jumps. You can take your enduro bike and take the lift up and go on a big adventure. Or you can do technical kind of downhill tracks like we see here.
Or you can also make your plan to come out to Leger for a Crankworx competition and hang out too as well and ride with some of the pros, right?
You can do both.
Well, you know, we needed to talk to some of the riders about the track, and yesterday we did just that. And here's what some of the riders had to say about the track. Take a look, listen to this.
Oh, it's amazing. I think the track's so rad. We haven't had a track like this for years. It's like typical old school, but new school riding. Oh, it's awesome. I'm having a good time.
Probably one of the best tracks of the year, eh? Just super wide open and fast the whole way down, with a pretty cool wood section in the middle.
Pretty fast. Really fun to ride, but it's gonna be hard on race day. Yeah, I think so.
And that's the breakdown right there, what the riders thinking about it. And when those guys like it, that's pretty good. Well, right now, your current leader, George Brannigan, 3:04.39. That is the time to beat. But our top 10 guys looking to try and take George Brannigan out of that top spot, well, don't go anywhere, because those men, they're coming up right here. Crankworx World Tour, stop #2 here in Leger, France. Stay with us. It's the top 10. Where else are you going to go? They're next.
Because fast never goes out of style. Because epic rides should actually be epic. Because steep is relative. Code was designed to deliver massive power and predictable modulation for braking control when and how you want it, on the longest descents and under the burliest loads. Better, stronger, faster.
Crankworx, Leger, our top 10 coming up here in your Crankworx Downhill presented by iXS. But let's check in with Hanna with some breaking news. Hanna?
Thank you very much, guys. I just wanted to give you a bit of an update here from the finish line, something that's progressing down here. We have a few marshals just deliberating right now. Nothing confirmed yet, but they're just trying to make sure that George Brannigan didn't actually go off course. We don't have anything confirmed just yet, so that's something that we'll keep you updated on. But right now, let's get back to racing. Brad?
Very interesting. Now, that's what they're going to look at right there. So the course marshals, it's up in their hands now, isn't it, Needles?
Yeah, that's going to be a contentious issue, but we throw it back to the top. Faustin Figueroa from France, new on the Radon factory racing. I spoke to him after last week's Leogang kind of bike bar course. He's gone away from the air shock that we spoke about earlier, and he's popped a coil rear shock on. He obviously feels it'll be more supple and better for traction. He's also raised his bars because it's quite steep in the woods, as you can see here when we pick him up going into the bobsleigh section. And he's up, and it seems on our split time, it's clearly working out for him, the work he's done on his bike setup. Another man, he's opted for cut spikes. So that he feels is going to get him more traction and more grip in some of these turns on the cut spikes.
We're going with the coil.
Oh, and he's lost a bit of time since her first split, but he's basically, it's a dead heat. It's only 0.2 of a second. Opting to drop a foot in that corner where George Brannigan ran wide, which we're going to hear about later. He knocked that pole that you can see in view now. Dragging a foot here, he's really pushing. This time is really, really on par here with the man in the hot seat, George Brannigan. What can he do here on the last bit of grass turns and coming near to the finish?
Well, he is a French rider, and they know, they get all hyped up when they're coming on down here on their own soil, so he wants to put a fast time in.
Yeah, very clean and consistent through those 3 turns, opting for the main line, riding on all the bumps. Holding good speed here. Last step down into the finish.
It's gonna
He's got to push hard. It's going to be close, Brad.
Yeah, the time in. What is it going to be for Faustin? He comes across his time. Top 3, 3:05.84. 3:05.84. And he is 1.4 seconds off that time of George Brannigan, who's in the hot seat.
Yeah, great run. He lost a bit of time. Clearly riding a little bit too conservative in those grass turns compared to Amiri, and George Brannigan, as we saw, was obviously letting it all hang out.
It seems like we're getting faster times on that upper section, but when we come into the sun areas, it seems like it's making or breaking the runs right there, isn't it?
Yeah. Sick Mick Hanna, the veteran of our sport. Multiple podiums and wins at all our Crankworx events.
Well, he was second place in Rotorua this year. Right behind Jack Moore.
Looking very, very good in practice. I've been watching practice. He's within touch.
0.34 off.
I mean, it's basically a dead heat. He's a man that's opted to change his suspension as well. He's on an SR Sun Tour air rear shock that they're testing, and he's put it on the bike because he's very comfortable.
Oh, look at this.
And he's up by 0.75, Brad.
Sick Mick making the charge.
Opting for the wide line, trying to carry maximum speed out of that left-hander into that rut. Keeping feet up as well. There we go, dropping a foot, getting aggressive down the bottom here. This is fast, Brad. This is really fast. This is going to challenge that guy in the hot seat, George Brannigan. A very clean rider, very consistent. Doesn't always look like he's on the ragged edge. We've been told that George Brannigan is good, so he's safe in that hot seat. Lucky bugger.
So that's the time, 3:04.39, the time to beat. Here comes Sick Mick Hanna.
All business today. We're not seeing the sick suicide from Sick Mick much today.
Well, he's looking to try and
This is going to challenge, Brad.
He wants to get on that podium. Here we go. Sick Mick Hanna. Is he in touch? Has he done it? Second place, 3:04.6, 0.21. Man, that is so close to George Brannigan, Needles.
Oh, that just shows in testament to how hard George was pushing in those lower grass turns. That's really where he's made time up on these guys.
So Sick Mick Hanna could be another second place for him. He was second in Rotorua in March.
Our 2015 King of Crankworx, Bernard Cole. A breakout year last year. Now he's even more on the form of his life, coming off a 4th place, his first podium at Leogang last week. So he must be riding high on that. I know he had a big crash in practice, clearly pushing hard. 0.2 back. They're really good. They're all within touch here. There's not a lot kind of separate them at the top. It's all kind of one-line-ish.
So Bernard Kerr making his way down. He was 4th in Rotorua, but looking to get on that podium, 0.21. But he can make that up, can he?
Yeah, another man that opts for the the air rear shock. He's 0.37 up. But like we said before, this is where George Brannigan was really pushing it. These guys need to start letting it hang out, which he's doing, dropping a foot there, getting loose, Bernard.
Well, that's what you got to do down here during that lower section. 225 and counting for Kerr.
This is quick. This is kind of similar to what Mick was doing, but can he push hard like Brannigan did down these lower slopes? Will he opt for the main line or try to get out of those bumps? Main line, it's kind of less effort to just stay in that. He's holding tight though, very clean to those turns, holding good speed. George Brannigan sweating in this hot seat. This time's going to get close to him. Holding it together here, Bernard, pushing hard. Very low down that.
Down the step down, here comes Kerr. Can he challenge George Brannigan's 304? Yes, he can, and he does. 303.92 for Bernard Kerr, just like that. He's in the hot seat. That was a flyer, man.
Yeah, he's keeping that form alive. He's obviously high off that result last week with a 4th at Leogang. Backs it up here, straight into the hot seat.
I mean, and 4th in Rotorua as well. Next up, here we go.
Yeah, Alec Fiole, obviously coming off. What an amazing result at the first race in Lords, winning that. Yes, it was a bit rain-soaked, but in saying that, that time that he put down would have easily been a podium run if you want my opinion on that. So people can't just discount that result so quickly.
Okay, I like.
So he's within touch. That's basically dead it. Only 0.05, dropping into the bobsleigh course. This is a course that'll suit the man. He's super good, obviously on home soil like at Lords, but he's a technically gifted rider. Not the best peddler just yet. He's working on that.
Well, he's definitely in touch right now, as long as he can keep it together.
And he's made some time. It's 0.78. That is a good margin if he can really, really push down these bottom slopes. Keeping it tidy, keeping feet up. Yeah, getting into his speed tug. He opted to keep his feet up and stay more clean. He feels he can carry better exit speed that way. This is fast. This is within touch here of Bernard's time. Great run by Alex.
Some amazing races all the way down to it. And now Alexander Fiole, can he challenge the 303.92?
Oh, no, he's down. That's what it takes. You've got to be on the ragged edge down the bottom. We've heard from the riders that it's way drier than practice. That is clearly what is happening. They're trying to race their practice speed. There was a little bit more grip this morning at about 11 a.m. It's now way later in the day. It's way drier. Not something you want to see. He was really on form there. Even with a crash, he's going to be close-ish to Bernard's time. That was definitely one for the hot seat. He stayed up.
And you called it too. Look, even with the fall, he still puts up in the 11th spot, 309.16. Let's take a look at where that went wrong for Alexander Fiole right there. Take another look. Now watch him closely.
So he comes in committed. He's leaving his braking really, really late. He goes to set up, but his back wheel just hops out of those bumps, and that's all she wrote. See, he was kind of feet up, and there wasn't much getting out of that crash.
Well, now we take our attention back up top. Our next rider, Troy Brosnan now.
The boy wonder from down under. An unbelievably skilled rider, super fit. Had a little bit of a slow start on this new Canyon factory racing team. Wasn't quite where he wanted to be at our first stop in Rotorua, but he backed that up last week in Leogang, hopping on the podium. So that's kind of a step in the right direction for him.
Yeah, 4th place in Leogang.
He's up by 0.4. I expect nothing less. He's a really, really consistent rider. Not crashing often. 1.67 coming on that step down. That is a very good margin. He doesn't need to even push as hard as someone like Bernard Kerr or George Brannigan with a gap like that. Putting in some pedal strokes, keeping very high and tight line, kind of opting to ride the shortest distance in track. This is really fast. 27 over the road there. The other guys, I think, were on 28.
Okay, now this is the section coming up here.
Yeah, you can see him a little bit more reserved than we saw Alex Fiole, and it pays off. Holding a tight and smooth line, but carrying good speed.
So Troy Brosnan coming your way. Here we go.
Has he put any more gap into these guys? He was up by well over a second. He's looking fast here. Oh, drifting there on the ragged edge, keeping it low.
Hey, look at this right here. Check the time for Troy Brosnan. Check the time. Troy Brosnan coming across. He's done it. 3:02.83. Troy Brosnan into the top spot. The boy wonder from down under, as you said, Needles, has done it. 3:02.83. Kerr will go to second, but Brosnan will go the hot seat.
He'll be happy with that. Like I said, he's coming into form. Bit of a slow start, getting used to the new bike, but clearly paying off here. Throwing himself straight into that hot seat. Over to his teammate, Mark Wallace. Obviously former teammate with the late Stevie Smith. We all miss Stevie. Mark obviously learned a lot with Stevie, and he's trying to carry on that legacy on a new team here on Canyon Factory Racing.
Remember, Mark Wallace was second in Lords, and he was second at the Canadian Open 2015 too as well. So he is not on target with that right now. 1.35, that's tough to make up in the lower section.
That is tough. You can see these guys, and Troy put down a bit more time after that first split. Let's not count him out yet though. Extremely talented rider. If he can push hard here on the bottom slopes of the Leger Mountain, he might be in for a shot of a top 5 result.
There's Brosnan right there, our current leader.
He's lost a little bit more time to Brosnan. He's lost another 0.6 of a second. Brosnan was very good and put a bit of a gap into everyone in that coming out of the woods.
Time to beat 3:02.83. That's what Troy Brosnan has in first. Kerr's in second. He's 1 second behind Brosnan in that second spot. Brannigan 1.5 in third from Troy.
Yeah, he's close to the Bernard Kerr times or the George Brannigan. I don't think he's going to be able to draw back some of that time that Troy put. Very clean through that section that Alex lost it on. Holding good speed, jumping into those ruts. Oh, going very deep there and wide off that road gap, pushing hard.
He's doing what he can to try and make up that time. Mark Wallace, here we go.
Yeah, keeping it low on the road gap, coming to the finish.
Not going to be able to challenge that top time of Troy Brosnan, but where will he check in? How about fourth place? 3:04.48, 1.65 behind Brosnan, and that's good enough for fourth. Well, the podium right now, Brannigan in that third spot, Kerr in that second spot, and Brosnan in the top with the fastest time, 3:02.83. But this next guy has, I'm sure, something to say about that time of Brosnan.
Yeah, it's been a pick from a few guys, obviously local guy. Great result last week at Leogang, coming off, narrowly missing out on the win, taking the second place.
Could this hold up? Could Brosnan take a big win of the year for him right now? This would be huge if Brosnan could take the win with the caliber of riders we're seeing here today. Let's see if we could take a look at Troy Brosnan's run here, because man, that was fast. 3:02.83, Needles.
Yeah, Troy Brosnan. Very quick to do the tucks here at the top. Pumping as much speed as he can. He's such a clean rider, and it really paid off. He was very consistent, getting early with his braking and good exit speed.
And he seemed like he just got faster all the way down. It seems like he just kept increasing his lead over the rest of the riders, and that's got him in the top spot. Time to beat 3:02.83.
And here we go, the man we've been speaking about, the man on many people's lips this week, Loris Vergier, the young flying Frenchman. Like we said, coming off a second place, some of the greatest form. Yeah. Oh. Whoa, he's up by barely. He's coming into the bobsled section. So switch to the Santa Cruz Syndicate team. Another switch, 29-inch wheels. The issue and the contentious debate that everyone is talking about. Clearly, they've opted for the 29-inch wheels. They feel it's faster. We saw from George Brannigan, he swapped back to the 27.5. Oh, he's lost time on Troy. That is an extremely fast sector that Troy put in there. Let's not count him out. These wheels are known for having a little bit more grip in these fast open sections.
Well, the 29ers pay off for Vergier as he comes down second in Leogang, as Needles did say. So a good result in Leogang for him.
Yeah, he's just out of touch of Troy's time, dropping a foot there. He needs to get on it. He really needs to push here if he's want to rival Troy's time. Yeah, he's opting for a little different line there, coming on that right-hander. He's keeping it tight. Oh, he's a little bit late there on that left. That's not what you want to do, Brad. You need to really focus on your exit speed and be a bit earlier on some of these turns.
250 and counting.
He's an exciting rider to watch. I think he's got such a bright future ahead of him. Always smiling. And I mean, if you can learn anything from Greg.
There we go, Vergier, the French rider into second place, 3:03.72, 0.89 behind Brosnan. I like where he made up the time, but he didn't make up enough time to knock Troy out of that top spot. We'll take a look at some of the replays, but there's your top three: Kerr, Vergier, and Brosnan right there, 3, 2, and 1. Brannigan now in fourth. Take a look here.
So let's take a look. He's getting some pedal strokes. He's holding very good speed, and he's just going for way more speed, which is great. I think there he dropped. He's having to pedal into the section where other guys didn't, so he might have lost a bit of speed on that road crossing.
So there's Troy Brosnan right now. He can do nothing but wait at this point. 3:02.83 with that time. That's the fastest time. Below him, Vergier just checked in, 0.89 behind him, so very close to Brosnan. But right now, Brosnan owns that hot seat. But we got some big names still coming up. Marcelo Gutierrez, Jack Moyer, Greg Menard, all still to come. Well, here is Marcelo Gutierrez.
The king of Garbanzo at our Crankworx in Whistler. He's undefeated there. So we'll see him doing that later in the year. He's had one of the best starts, if not the best start to a season to date. Coming off a very good podium finish at Fort William. He's lying somewhat second or something in the World Cup Series. An extremely good start for him.
That third in Lords really helped his cause for the season, that's for sure.
He's 1.29 back. Troy put in a very good sector till then, but this is where he made up time from that split and the exit of the bobsleigh course into the first few turns here of the open section. Let's see what Marcelo can do. He looks clean, putting in a couple pedal strokes. Oh, he's lost some big time. I'm not sure what happened there. We didn't see anything on screen. He's lost 4 seconds to Troy.
Well, that's going to be a tough one to make up, Needles, towards the bottom here.
Now that's a big challenge. I mean, that's probably all she wrote. Getting 5 seconds back. I'm not even sure anyone could ever do that.
But you know, but you got to look at this. He's trying to go for the downhill series too as well for Crankworx. So a good finish here, whether it's top 5 or what. This needs to happen for him.
Yeah, extremely fit. One of the fittest, strongest riders on the circuit. And here, this is where your arms are going to be burning. So the fitter you are, the better you can deal with the lactic acid buildup in your arms. Yeah, the friendly Colombian's not the race he was looking for today, or the result. So he's pushing to the finish, the last step there. Coming to the finish, Brad.
Here we go, Marcelo Gutierrez, the time in for him. The time to beat the 3:02.83, and he will settle for a 3:10.07, so not the run he was looking for. But I tell you what, a guy we are looking forward to seeing, Jack Moyer, who is going to be coming up. Jack Moyer was first out there in Rotorua. Speaking of Rotorua, let's take a look at Moyer's run in Rotorua back in March. Take a look here, Needles. Remember this one?
Yeah, Jack Moore came out firing at the first stop of the Crankworx World Tour, taking the big win after winning the series the previous year.
So you think about it, he's won the series for Crankworx in downhill last year. He is now large and in charge this year because he had that first win. So showing up on the podium here, 3, 2, or 1 for Moyer, that could be a big news for him and trying to go back-to-back years and grabbing the downhill title. But there's Troy Brosnan. He's just loving that spot right there.
Yeah, Jack Moore kind of quietly goes about his business. I watch him in practice. He doesn't look as fast as what he's going, but he's clearly flying. Coming off one of his best results, his first podium at Fort William in his second place. He's aboard those 29-inch wheels. He's a super tall rider. It's something that I feel suits his riding style. He's very calm, consistent, not a huge amount of body English on the bike, but he carries immense pace. 0.44 down though, Troy really had a good top sector, and this is where Troy put the pace down, is in these bobsleigh turns and into the first few open fast grass turns.
Well, can Shark Attack Jack challenge the time? He's not too far off at 3:02.83, the time to beat, 3:02.83.
Yeah, Australian national champion. He's really got an extremely bright future ahead of him. He's lost more time. I don't know what Troy was doing there, but he's really putting some time into these riders. 1.9 back. Troy ran a very clean bottom third of the race. It's going to be tough for him to bring this back.
Yeah, I don't know where he manufactured that speed, but Troy Brosnan did just that. He manufactured speed through the slower, lower section of the course en route to that 3:02.83.
Yeah, Jack Moore's losing a little bit more time compared to Troy here on these bottom slopes. Opting for the main line in the bumps, but those 29-inch wheels should be able to absorb that. Clean through those 2 turns. Little step down, going quite deep here.
Over the road gap.
Little tweak there.
2:55. Down the last step down. Now it's the sprint to the finish line. Here we go. Jack Moore, shark attack. Where is he going to be? All the way down in that 7th spot of 3:04.68. 3:04.68. 1.85 off the time of Troy Brosnan. He's your current leader with the time to beat, 3:02.83. And let's check in with Hanna, standing by with Troy Brosnan. Hanna.
All right, guys, I'm going to try and steal a word here with Troy Brosnan sitting in the hot seat. We got Greg Menard coming down next, Troy, but tell me how you feel in the hot seat at the moment right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty nervous. I threw down the best run I could, so I'm happy with it. Everyone else has been doing really fast times, and it's been really tight, so Greg's an amazing rider. He's on a killer season already in the World Cup, so it's going to be hard to beat him.
All right, well, best of luck. One more rider to come down. Right now, it's Greg Menard. Guys, back up to you.
Well, I like what you said right there. I mean, he has over 70 podiums, a 3-time world champ, and a bunch of results this year. Is he really the GOAT?
I mean, on paper, you can't argue that. He's got the most World Cup wins with 20. And all those stats you said, he's the current greatest downhiller of all time.
And he continues to do it. What's the longevity? I mean, how does he do it? The longevity of his career has just been amazing.
It's been unbelievable. He turns 36 in November, and he's showing no signs of slowing down. He's got a really good attitude to racing, having some of the most fun he's ever had.
The last rider on course, Greg Menard, 3rd in Leogang, 1st in Fort William. As I said, over 70 podiums in his illustrious career.
He's in touch. So such a tall, strong rider. He's on the 29-inch wheels. He says he feels it's faster, but he is having more challenges setting up his suspension. So it's kind of sometimes a rougher ride for him, but because he's so fit, he can hang on. It just needs a little bit more development. Troy's put him gaps. He's 1.63 ahead of Greg. So Greg's lost some time in that sector from the bobsleigh course down to these open grass turns. Troy is looking pretty in that hot seat.
Well, yeah, the time to beat a 3:02.83. Can Menard do it? There is the time right there. 2:27 and counting for Menard. Referred to as the GOAT, the greatest of all time, continues to do what he does all year long, putting up results every single year. Good to see him back at Crankworx competition, that's for sure.
Yeah, we've seen him back when he was on Honda days doing A-line, coming second to Brian Lopes back in the day. It's great to see him at a Crankworx event. It just shows you guys this wheel debate is going to carry on and carry on. Greg Menard, Loris Vergier on the 29, Jack Moore. But I don't think they've done enough to beat Troy Brosnan on his 27.5.
I don't think so. Here comes Menard. He's going to cross the line. Can he beat the 3:02? No, he cannot. 3rd place for Menard, a 3:03.78. Vergier will grab 2nd with a 3:03.72. And Troy Brosnan is going to come away with the big win.
What a great ride by Troy. That's going to give him some confidence going into the remainder of the season. Like we said, he had a little bit of a slow start. And so good to see him bouncing back and getting that form we all know he's capable of.
Well, and he's had some results, but he hasn't got those wins. It seems like the wind's been escaping him for the last year or two, but he comes out here today with a strong field, and he comes out with the win. And let's check in with our winner right now as we send it down to Hanna Bernard. Hanna.
All right, Troy. Well, we just talked a few moments ago, and I bet you just breathed the biggest sigh of relief you ever have. Tell me how it feels at this moment being the gold medalist.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, I felt good all weekend, and this track is amazing. All the riders are loving it. It's dried out crazy, and you know, back from when Fabian's won here to be on a new team, on a team with him, and on a new bike on the Canyon is crazy, and just to get the first win and just loving it. It's awesome.
You're on fire this season, but let's talk about the legends. This legendary course, so much history here. And then Greg Menard, Fabian Brel, all these guys with so much history here. What does that mean? Does that add to it?
Yeah, for sure. You know, there's so many great riders from all the World Cups, and just to have all these guys and be right up there with them and get the win is crazy. You know, it's a legendary track, and I'm just, you know, smiling with joy.
Tell me what this is going to do for your confidence in the rest of the season.
Yeah, I'm stoked now, super pumped. We've got the bike working perfect and leading into the next World Cups, they're really awesome. Tracks that are going to suit me and just go for a win and see what happens.
Give me your thoughts on the top 3 guys behind you.
Yeah, they're both really good riders. You know, it's a crazy field. It's pretty much like racing a World Cup. So each rider's got so much experience, and just to, you know, be racing in the same track, the same venue, everything with them, it's just a privilege.
Big congratulations to you, Troy Brosnan, your gold medalist here at the Crankworx Downhill presented by iXS.
Oh, man, what an awesome feeling it must be for Troy Brosnan right there, taking that win. 3:02.83 the time to beat. And you know what? As a kid, he's growing up. He's watching guys like Greg Menard. He's watching all these guys, what they do. So to compete against him, that's probably pretty special to beat him right here in Leger.
Yeah, if you think about how old he was back in 2004 when that famous win for Fabian Burrell, now to back that up. Troy Brosnan, great ride by him. Very, very meticulous in those woods. He obviously made some time on those guys coming out of those woods. Greg Menard, I wouldn't have picked him for the win. I know he really needs kind of the big race, big pressure for him. I know he comes to Crankworx. It's good prep for him. And I know he has a lot of fun here. So pretty damn impressive ride for him, being the GOAT and all. It's a lot of pressure for him to live by, to always deliver at every single race. He can't always do that. It's not possible.
Well, looking at our Women's World Tour rankings right now, of course, Crankworx World Tour and the downhill rankings as they are right now, look at Tracy Hanna right there in that top spot, 250 points. That's a lot over Siegenthaler right there.
Yes, he's amassing some good points, and that's really looking good for her going into Innsbruck and then our final in Whistler.
And let's talk about the men here for the series as well, for our downhill series, how that is shaping up this season. There you go. Troy Brosnan, very close, 180. You got Jack right behind him. Mick Hanna still in there too. Kerr, you know, solid thing with Kerr ending up in 4th place today. So all these guys, Vergier, Elliot Jackson, all kind of up there.
Yeah, Troy Brosnan throwing his name in the hat there for this series. I picked Loris Vergier coming into the race. He delivered, did a good race in 2nd. But Troy Brosnan really impressed me today.
Well, let's take a look at our standings for the queen of Crankworx. Now that we got a few events under our belt, and there's Jill Kittner extending that lead, 390 total points over Caroline Buchanan. She beat her in pump track yesterday, and she beat her in her time today. And on the men's front for the king of Crankworx, you know, Thomas Slavic is the reigning king. Kerr has actually won it before. He won it in 2015. But taking a look at our king of Crankworx standing so far, Adrian Laron with that win in pump track last night. That gives him 375. Jakob Wenzel, solid stuff in the speed and style. And then you got Troy Brosnan with that one right there. Brosnan getting in that top 10, getting in that 7th spot.
Yeah, Brosnan creeping in there, putting his name in the hat. We'll see how many more events he does throughout the season.
So, talk to me. Final thoughts, Andrew. What are you thinking about today's competition here in the downhill?
Yeah, my final thoughts are Troy Brosnan walks away obviously with a win, but he takes a lot of confidence going into next week and the rest of the season. So he's our big winner here.
Well, a big congratulations in order for Troy Brosnan. You know, he was so close this year to so many different, to getting in that top 3, but there was no doubt about it when the dust cleared today. Troy Brosnan, he comes out with the gold medal in the Crankworx Leger Downhill presented by iXS. Vergier, well, not too shabby there either as well. 3:03.72, only 0.89 off what Brosnan did. And Greg Menard, the GOAT, in that 3rd spot, 3:03.78. And that was only 0.95. Well, amazing competition. Make sure to tune us into Slopestyle tomorrow on Red Bull TV. That's right, Crankworx Leger Slopestyle will be large and in charge, and join us for that one tomorrow. There's your time. You can also check crankworx.com for all the listings on that, but that one will be on Red Bull TV. On behalf of Andrew Needling, Hannah Bernard in the mix, and our entire Crankworx crew, I'm Brad J. Goodbye from Leger.